In this next section, Glenn-a-Beck gives us his outlook on the future of America.
Glenn, you've been looking into a crystal ball. What the world's going to look like in about 5 years, and how's it look?
Not good, actually. Everybody is saying, things could be really bad. I have been talking about what I believe is coming for about 2.5 years now, and I know it's going to get bad.
Okay, so what is it?
I don't know, other than what we are possibly looking at is something far worse than the Depression. We are in much greater debt as individuals. We don't know how to grow our own food. We're not our grandparents. So just economically, we could be in real trouble. But we're also looking at civil unrest all around the world. I think people need to see the worst case scenario because you need to prepare. This is something that could be, hopefully it won't be, could be really dangerous. 2 weeks ago, I came home, and it was about midnight. My wife and I were talking, and we were talking last night at midnight as well. My hands, look at them. My hands now, for the first time in my life, are shaking. Not because of what is going to happen, but what could happen. I have been feeling this for 2 years, over 2 years, and ringing the bell. We're running out of exit ramps here, and civil unrest could happen. It will happen, already is happening around the world. We have people from the CIA, FBI that have war-gamed these scenarios.
The military has started preparing for a revolution. When? In the last 4 months they started preparing?
No, they've been preparing for a while. I was walking with some of the brightest minds in the military. One guy who was with the FBI before the World Trade Center was one of the first people to say this is a global terror network. He burst out in tears and he said, Glenn, people don't understand. This is 1860. We are on the verge of 1860.
Civil unrest could happen, will happen, and is happening around the world. Verge of 1860? That means we're on the verge of a civil war. Remember that Glenn-a-Beck has already labeled Ron Paul supporters and 9/11 truthers as domestic terrorists and groups that breed Timothy McVeighs.
Look, I had a head of state tell me 6 months ago, a head of state over in that area. He said to me, when I met with President Bush, and he said, your president said to me today, he said, he was very, and he was searching for a word, apocalyptic. And I said, like the four horsemen of the apocalypse, that kind of apocalypse? Yeah, the right word? And he said, yes. He said, your president left me with this statement. We will be there by your side if we survive. If we survive. We don't even understand freedom anymore. We are a country that is headed towards socialism, totalitarianism, beyond your wildest imagination.
If we survive. Socialism, totalitarianism beyond our wildest imagination? Would that mean worse than Hitler's Germany? Remember, he is not giving this as the conspiracy's point of view, but as what he believes is coming to America.
We are a country that is headed towards socialism, totalitarianism, beyond your wildest imagination. I have to tell you, I'm doing a story tonight that I wanted to debunk these FEMA camps. I'm tired of hearing. You know about them?
Sure.
I'm tired of hearing. I wanted to debunk them. Well, we've now for several days done research on them. I can't debunk them.
Listen to his tone. How he says he can't debunk them. Remember that for later.
I'm tired of hearing. I wanted to debunk them. Well, we've now for several days done research on them. I can't debunk them. It is our government. If you trust our government, it's fine. If you have any kind of fear that we might be headed towards a totalitarian state, look out, buckle up. There's something going on in our country that is ain't good.
If we are heading towards socialism, totalitarianism beyond our wildest imaginations, let's look at some of the 20th century tyrants. V.I. Lenin and Joseph Stalin, both Soviet tyrants, conservatively had 20 million civilians killed. Adolf Hitler, the famous German tyrant, he had at least 20 million civilians killed. Mao Zedong, the Chinese tyrant, he had at least 30 million civilians killed. That's pretty bad, and they all had concentration camps.
they're not FEMA trailers, FEMA prisons, FEMA camps. These are actual prisons that were built under the Bush administration. These are actual prisons that were built under the Bush administration. These are actual prisons that were built under the Bush administration. And they were built specifically for a couple of reasons. One was for a massive influx of illegal immigrants that we would have to jail. Now they're sitting there empty. If you got a problem in California, why aren't we using those? Why aren't we using those?
Glenn-a-Beck said that they were set up for a couple of reasons, but he only mentioned the massive influx of illegal immigrants. Let's see what the other reason was. Why would he leave out that they were also for potential terrorists? Remember who Glenn-a-Beck said the domestic enemies were?
When you enlist in the military, you have to take an oath that says you're going to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The physical threat may be developing domestically as well. Paul's supporters called the donations, and I'm quoting, a money bomb. You know, tying my movement in with a historical terrorist attack. It's not just the left this time, it's also the right. I mean, Ron Paul's supporters are also the right.
And what type of group did he say the Timothy McVeighs would come from?
These truthers are exactly the kind of people who want to rock this nation's foundation, tear us apart, and plant the seeds of dissatisfaction in all of us. Which is why I believe these guys are dangerous. I believe these guys are anarchists that are looking to tear us apart. I mean, this is the kind of group that a Timothy McVeigh would come from.
Any of these 9/11 truthers, who I've been telling you for years, are dangerous.
You will see by the end of this video why Glenn-a-Beck keeps making these ties.
You want to see your future, America. If we continue to do this, just look to California, because that's where we're headed.
So is that a federal issue, though, or is that Governor Schwarzenegger?
This is Schwarzenegger. Their prisons are overcrowded.
They're going to release a third out of the prisons in California.
Yet another reason to open my business in California.
And these FEMA camps are all over the U.S.?
Yes.
And they're all empty?
Yeah.
Did you catch that? She asks him, and these FEMA camps are all over the U.S. and they are all empty? And he says yes.
Open my business in California.
And these FEMA camps are all over the U.S.?
Yes.
And they're all empty?
Yeah. Something doesn't sit right with me. You know, we were talking off the air. We have a standing battalion in this country in Maryland. It's not the National Guard.
What's this battalion supposed to do?
It's for emergencies. It's for civil unrest.
So it's like the National Guard?
But it's not the National Guard.
It's a super guard.
It's a super guard.
When did it start?
August it was. They say it was for September 11th, but it was actually put into place this last August. It's against the Constitution.
3 hours later, Glenn-a-Beck has a different story to tell.
After a very long night of tossing and turning, if you watch Fox and Friends this morning or listen to my radio show, I told you that I was going to tell you about the FEMA camps or the FEMA prisons today. This is something that I snapped on the air because somebody called me up and said, why don't you talk about the FEMA prisons? And I said, can we just settle the FEMA prison thing? I don't believe in the FEMA prison. If you don't know, I'll tell you about it in a couple of days. If these things exist, that's bad, and we will cover it. If they don't exist, it's irresponsible to not debunk this story. I am going to bring you this story.